we can start now? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes. If Nutan ji is ready, so let's start.
Hello, everyone. A very, very good evening. Welcome, Nutan ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm very, very excited that you're here for this session. We keep talking about you all the time, and everybody was looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you for taking out the time.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
I'm going to give a quick introduction about you, and then I'm going to hand over the session to you, and we'll take question answers in the end. We'll go with the flow, with the intuitive flow, with
Yeah.
the session.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Nutan has studied sociology and journalism. She has trained at National Childbirth Trust, NCT, London, and at Breastfeeding Promotion Network India, BPNI. Pregnancy, the Complete Childbirth Book, is a national bestseller and has been translated into Hindi and Gujarati. Her other 3 books are Smart Parenting, Questions and Answers on Pregnancy, and Womb to Thrive, which is again an international bestseller. After she birthed her own children effortlessly and joyfully, she started teaching classes for parents to be in 1978. Everything she practices has originated from her own personal experience. This includes complementary systems of healing and home remedies. She helps the couple to understand the birth journey, to have a comfortable pre- and postnatal period, successful breastfeeding, and communication with each other, caregivers, and with baby. She also offers a teacher's training course for women to teach such classes. Her speaking engagements and TV appearances include CME at Fortis Fem Hospital, Delhi, Foxy Meeting Faridabad, Rotary Clubs Delhi, Fernandez Hospital Hyderabad, Doordarshan TV, Zee TV, Star TV, NDTV, and paper presentations at the Asia Pacific Midwifery Conference, Birthing the New Humanity Summit, and State University of New York Conference. Her expertise has been shared in many articles, speaking engagements, interviews, and she has inspired professionals to become agents of change in their communities. Her classes have been attended by housewives, doctors, judges, lawyers, models, politicians. Some known personalities are Priyanka Gandhi, Prashant Bhushan, Sachin Pilot, Manpreet Brar, Dr. Kalpesh Gandhi, Rajiv Makhni. Thank you so much, Nutimasi, Nutan Auntie, to, come and, take this session with us. I also have to just quickly mention how when I was about to birth my second baby, Kabir, in Goa, that's when I got in touch with Nutan Pandit because my baby was breech. And my midwife thought that I should go to a hospital, but I was very wary of going to the hospital because I was thinking I'm going to be tricked into something, some kind of intervention that I don't need. And then a very dear close friend, Preeti Verma, who's also a part of our EKF group, she put me in touch with Nutan Pandit. And she took a session with us, with me and my husband online. And we did some acupressure together, and we used the emotional freedom technique, EFT, to release what was suppressed inside, and we actually felt the baby turn around while she was speaking to us, and we had a beautiful birth afterwards. Thank you so much, Nutan Auntie, and please enlighten us with everything that you have to share with the world.
Saman, I'm so. It was so such a nice coincidence that instead of saying Nutan Pandit, you said Nuti Masi, because I'm Masi to Preeti, and that shows you that it may sound so. I'm in my senior years now, so what I have achieved, I never planned. It was in intuitive flow, like my title is today. Like sometimes people ask me that how come way back in 78 you thought of this line, to follow this line, to make this a career. I didn't do any such planning. It just happened. I think it happened like that in our lives when we go with the flow of life and with what our intuition tells us. And I'm going to start with a quote by Meher Baba from, he was a saint who lived outside of Pune in Mehrabad. So I'm going to start with one of his quotes. So what Meher Baba said was, what you understand by intuition is always true. What you understand by intellect is sometimes true and sometimes not. So there are many examples of this in life. For instance, I remember that one of my nieces, actually little Preeti herself, the one we just spoke of, when she was little, she had a very bad respiratory condition. And she was taken to the doctor, and the doctor said she can have anything. There's no diet restriction, only thing she should not eat bananas. So, but little Preeti kept saying to her nani, because her mother was working and her nani was her caregiver, primary caregiver, and she kept saying, Nani mujhe kela khana hai, Nani mujhe kela khana hai. She kept on repeating it, and Nani kept her well away from kelas until Nani had to go to the kitchen to do something. And little Preeti ran to the dining room, climbed onto the chair, climbed onto the table where there was a fruit bowl, and ate 6 bananas. And it was, we were so afraid what is going to happen to her. This is one thing she shouldn't have eaten, and she's eaten 6 bananas and nothing happened to her. She became well. So intuitively, children, their intuitions are very sharp. Intuitively, her body knew that what she needed was maybe some component in the banana, some nutrition in the banana is what she probably needed. And on another more formal level, there was an experiment where children who were lacking in iron and children who were lacking in calcium were called for a buffet. And on the buffet table, there was food rich in iron and there was food rich in calcium. No one was told what they should take or not eat or not eat. On their own, the children who were lacking in iron were reaching for iron-rich foods. Children who were lacking in calcium were reaching for calcium-rich foods. And so again and again, this comes forward in many instances. Like I was once doing a workshop on water birth by Barbara Harper, who's a midwife who specializes in water birth. She runs Birth International, I think, or Water Birth International. So she said, shared something with us that was very interesting. She said she was at a birth, water birth, where the baby had got stuck at the shoulder. And suddenly the mother got out of the water and she said, I need to go to the toilet. And she walked to the toilet in a very strange way. So I'll just show you how the mother walked to the toilet. I've made a video of that. It's just not moving the slide. Okay. So she walked to the toilet, flinging one leg up on one side, one leg on the other side. And when she came back, the baby's position had been corrected. So she asked her, she said, why did you walk like that to the toilet? So she was oblivious. She didn't know she had walked in any strange way. She said, well, how did I walk? So she had just connected with her intuition while she was in labor, and her body had guided her on what she needed to do to make the baby get unstuck. So there is a very interesting quote by Dr. Edward Bach. So I'm very fond of Bach flower remedies, and I practice healing with Bach flower remedies and EFT. So I'm going to share, and a quote by Dr. Edward Bach. So he said, this is a quote from a book called Medical Discoveries of Edward Bach, Physician, by Nora Weeks. And I quote, from his own experience and from watching others closely, Bach realized that man was endowed with all the wisdom and knowledge necessary to guide him through this earthly life in utmost happiness and joy and health, and that this wisdom was imparted to him through his intuition and instinct. These were means of communicating between man's higher self and his earthly personality, and being of divine origin were to be obeyed and trusted implicitly. Unhesitating obedience to these was the secret of health and happiness. When the individual allowed the interference of suggestion of others to deter him from following his own inner conviction, then the conflicting states of mind, fear, indecision, hate, and the like assailed him, marring his happiness and affecting his health. So I just told you about instances where people were spontaneously following their intuition. And now I'll share with you an instance where someone did not follow the intuition and what happened. So initially, Rupa, when I released my book, Rupa Publications were my publishers. So whenever they had the launch of a book, they would always send me an invite, often send me an invite. And sometimes I could attend, sometimes I couldn't if it clashed with my classes. I went to the launch of a book. I don't remember which book it was, but I met a friend of mine from college. She was in our college. We used to travel. We were both living in the suburbs. So we used to ride into town together. Our college was in the city of Bombay and our homes were in the suburbs of Bombay. So I met her and she said, what are you doing? And I said, I'm doing these prenatal classes. And she said, oh, that's a wonderful thing you're doing. I'm so glad you're doing it. My God, Nutan, I'm so happy. And I said, yeah, it is a good thing, but why is she going on and on about it? I couldn't understand. And then I asked her, so where are you these days? So she said she was in Switzerland or Sweden. I don't remember. It was with S and in Europe. It was either of the two, Sweden or Switzerland. And she said, when I had my baby, the doctor told me I should eat only one banana a day and I should eat nothing else. I said, one banana a day? She said, I would walk around famished and hungry. And I was so hungry all the time and so unhappy all the time. I said, but didn't you call someone in India, some aunt or some cousin or something? She said, I didn't have anybody I could call. And so here she was eating one banana a day. And I'm sure if she had tapped into her intuition would have told her to eat more. But she was following the doctor's orders, And so she must have had a very traumatic time, I think. And I couldn't understand why, for the life of me, I couldn't understand, would a medical doctor, recommend something like this? And after much thinking, I could only think of one thing. She herself is very short and very dark. And these are European countries where everybody's really fair. And some people are racists. So maybe her doctor was racist. I really don't know. But this thought came to me, and I may be totally wrong. I don't know. But if she had listened to her intuition, it would have served her well. And another instance of someone who did not listen to intuition was one of my students in class. When I was teaching, she came looking very uncomfortable. And I asked her, you look really uncomfortable. Are you okay? What's wrong? She said, I have diarrhea. I'm feeling so unwell. I said, oh, what did you have for lunch then? So, because my classes were like around 4 o'clock that time, 4 in the evening. So she must have just had lunch and come. So her response was shocking. She said, I just had a small piece of fish because I have to get my protein. And I was so shocked. I said, my God, when you have an upset stomach, you don't want to look at food, forget non-veg. But she was not connected with herself. She was not connected to her intuition. She was going by the book. You're pregnant, you need so much protein every day. So again, an instance where it would have not served her well. Another instance I'd like to tell you, which is very amazing, very refreshing. There is an obstetrician who practices in Hyderabad, in Fernandez Hospital, Hyderabad. She's an obstetrician, but she just did not like her work because she did not like the way obstetricians practiced. So from being an obstetrician, she demoted herself to becoming a doula or a birth companion. And she has been a doula for many years now. And she even made a program for training doulas. And I recently heard that her program has been accepted by the University of Hyderabad. So she was unhappy somewhere. She left that, even though in the secular world, that was a very stupid thing to do, but she followed her intuition. There is a doctor, very famous doctor, I think his name is Rodney Dietrich. He's done a lot of work on microbiome. So that we are made of microbes. And we are between, I think, 57 to 90% microbes. And just the rest of it is us, that is mammalian. And his is groundbreaking research on microbes. And he is another person who followed his intuition to do this work, to follow research in this. He was intuitively given the message that he should work on the microbiome. So it is very important that we connect with ourselves and connect with our intuition. And that's also really important in pregnancy, that a mother connects with her intuition, embraces her pregnancy, and she is accepted and undisturbed by people around her to do that. And there are different levels of brain waves we have. In pregnancy, the brain waves of a mother changes, which is why we say pregnancy, they say have brain fog from being pregnant. It's not brain fog. It's you are operating at an other level of brain waves. Your brain waves have slowed down. Let us just look at the brain waves. I'll just share screen. So there are different, brain waves called the beta, alpha, theta, and delta. So the beta brain waves are when we are talking, when we are worldly, when we are in the mind state, the logical state, the state where you strategize, you count numbers, and you just use your secular brain, let's say, for want of a better word. And then comes the alpha brain waves. So the beta brain waves are all about the mind state. Alpha brain waves are about the heart space, the feeling space. Pregnant women are in the alpha brainwave state. And it's not that they have brain fog, they are at another level of being. And at this level of being, they are open to connecting with their theta and delta states. What are theta and delta states? Theta is a meditative space of stillness and understanding where you connect with your soul. The mother needs to be undisturbed to reach the state. And then there's the delta state or the knowing state. There are some things you just know, like it's an instinctive state of clarity and knowing at the soul level, at the cosmic consciousness level. So when mothers are pregnant, and if they go, and also when they are in labor, if they are not always called back to the beta state by saying, how many contractions are you having? What time did you check in? What is your phone number? What is your address? We are disturbing them. We shouldn't disturb them, so that they can go into the meditative state and the intuitive state. And the delta state is a knowing state. Like I remember when I initially started teaching childbirth, I had no idea about the research behind childbirth and how gravity helps and how this helps and that helps. I just knew it was the best way to birth. It was an inner knowing. So when you are in the beta state, people can say things to you that can make you think differently. People can make you feel differently. So in the alpha state also, you are subject to other people's leanings and what should I say, influence. But in the delta state, in the knowing state, you just know things. It's just an inner knowing that people have. So when women in labor are allowed to regress to the theta state and the delta state, pain disappears. It's a very lovely kind of birth that they can have. And there is a very famous doctor called Dr. Michel Audin, who says that the way we are born is the way we live. The way we are born, it establishes the template of how we are going to be living our life. And Dr. Audin runs the Primal Health Research Center in London. And he has a very interesting website which you all can visit. I'm just going to, 1 second. I pressed the wrong button. Don't chat. His website is full of all kinds of information on birth and how the kind of birth you have influences you. This is his website, wombecology.com. And those of you who want further information would do well to visit this website. It is a mine of information. So Dr. Michel Audin is the only one actually who started to research the effect of natural birth. What is the benefit of natural birth? And he was initially a surgeon. He qualified as a surgeon, and he was practicing in Africa, only doing cesarean sections. And he came back to England and got to France, and he got a posting in a public hospital in Pithiviers, which is about little outside of Paris, I think 60 kilometers outside of Paris or something. And over there, he found labor, birth was a totally different scene. Women were made to lie down. In Africa, women were free to move. And a whole difference of picture of the way birthing happened. So he became interested in non-intervention kind of birth with fewer medication. He's the one who started to use water in labor. He started to immerse women in water to reduce the pain that they felt. And he has been working in this line for very long. I visited him in Pithiviers in 1981. And he visited China in 1971. So in 1971, when Dr. Michel Audin visited China, he found that people were on bicycles, people were all wearing uniforms, And they were cycling around and looking very happy and very contented and smiling. And that was in 1971. And then he went in 1971 as a part of a exchange program between China and France. They exchanged experts to learn from each other. So when they went from France, they expected they learn a lot about acupressure and stuff like that. But when they went there, they were just taken from one maternity unit to another. And in every maternity unit that they went, there was always a cesarean in progress. And the Chinese wanted to learn about ultrasound. They wanted to learn about, all the technology, the fetal heart monitoring, and they wanted to understand all about all the technology that was creeping into birth at that time. And wherever they went, there was a cesarean in progress. Even if it was in a remote village of China, there was a cesarean in progress. And even though the doctor was bare feet, but he was performing a cesarean, children were always separated from their parents, from the mother, and they were fed by the bottle. And Dr. Ono thought at that time how hopeless must these children be feeling. First, to be yanked out suddenly from the womb, and then to be isolated from the mother. And anyway, so he saw this scenario, and that time China was moving from the midwife to the hospital, birth from the home and the midwife. Like we had the same system, we had DICE, and now we are going into the hospital with the Janani Suraksha Yojana program and all these other programs to save us. China was going through that kind of phase at that time. Dr. Michel Ono revisited China in 2002. And when he revisited China, it was amazing. The statistics for suicides were really high in China. When he revisited in 2002, 44% of the world's suicides were in China, and they were in the age group of 15 to 34 years. That were all the babies that were born by high technology birth. So Dr. Michel Audin says, the way we are born is the way we live. The more technology we have in birth, the more violence we have in birth, the more violence we have in society. And that is his feeling. And he talks a lot about how to reduce the violence at the time of birth. And the way you are born, suppose you are born traumatized, you will live the rest of your life in trauma. That's a template that gets fixed in your head, into your subconscious mind. On the other hand, if you're born in your own time, when you're ready to be born, so when a baby is ready to be born, the baby releases hormones into the mother's bloodstream. That's start of labor. So ready to be born means what? When the baby is ready to breathe independently of the mother, to suck and nourish itself, to regulate its body temperature, to keep itself warm. When it is able to do all of this, or ready to do all of this, the baby releases hormones into the mother's bloodstream that travel to her brain, trigger the release of oxytocin to start off labor. So when the labor begins spontaneously, the baby saying, okay, now I'm ready to come. So then the trauma of birth is also less for the baby. And when this happens, the body is also generally aligned for the birth and ready for the birth. So the birth tends to be more natural, less painful, less traumatic for the baby. So when the baby is born, the baby feels self-esteem, the baby feels love, the baby feels wanted and cherished, and is so relaxed that it goes into a relaxed state of learning and observation. And the other baby who's born in trauma goes into, oh my God, it's so cold here. Will I be looked after? Will I be taken care of? Where's my mother? I've been separated from her. Where is she? And then they just stay in that trauma. So you can be in either love or you can be in fear. You can't be in both at the same time. So these children who are born in their own time in a loving atmosphere, they live their lives in love, happiness, and expansion. Or if those who are born in fear, they born not with all the love and the spontaneity, they live in fear and contraction. So when you're in fear and contraction, you cannot be in love and expansion and happiness. And when you're in love and expansion and happiness, you cannot be in fear. You can be in this state or this state. So most of us are living life either in either of these states, depending on the way we were born. Of course, there are exceptions. When people get very conscious of things and when they do a lot of healing work and trauma work and all of that, then they can come out of it. But it requires a lot of effort. And when it happens spontaneously, it's just your nature. You're not working on it. You're not putting effort. It is your inherent nature to be happy. And that's a beautiful gift we can give our children. They can live in happiness and joy and love and not in fear and contraction. And yeah, so with that, I end my talk. And if anybody has anything to ask, any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you very much, Nutanji. Sorry. Yeah. It was really wonderful talk. Really, I enjoyed it. And I'm sure all of us enjoyed it. Yes, we can open it up for questions now. If anybody has question, please turn on your mics and or type it on the chat box.
Yeah. Good evening,
So,
ma'am.
yeah.
Yes, good
Yeah,
evening.
this is Chetna here. Actually, I want to ask question related to the special childbirth. Like, what is the connection or correlation with having a special child, like Down syndrome or autism or genetic disorder or whatever, like different. There are very
There are different kinds of special children. So when it's a Down syndrome child, then the chromosomes multiply in not the optimum way when the baby is developing in the womb. But you know, one thing about Down syndrome children is they're the most teachable when they are young. And that is the time when parents go into trauma that, oh God, how come we have a baby like this? First, it's the trauma, they have a baby like that. And then what do we do? And they miss those precious teaching years. So, in fact, I had once written a little article on one autistic young girl who I met in Bombay. She was, I think, at that time would have been about 14 years old, and she was at a lunch. She was telling this man, he had his buttons open because of his, I think, fashion or whatever. And she said, button up, doesn't look good. I was so surprised. And then I was talking to her mother. She said, Preeti is, her name was Preeti, is such a help. She lays the table, or she clears it. She does one of the two. And she does it like she does it one day, her sister does it another day. And she's very aware of her rights. So she'll say, I did it yesterday, I'm not doing it today. And the next day, you don't have to tell her, she will do it on her own. And I said, my God, how wonderful. How did you teach her like that? So she said, initially when Down syndrome children are born, mothers are so traumatized and they lose that precious time when they can teach them. She said, I found a very good doctor who told me that start training her right now. Otherwise, it'll be too late. So that's for Down syndrome. And for autism, there are many studies that show that one of the reasons I think for autism is high technology in birth, high use of drugs, inducing labor before time, before the labor starts spontaneously and the baby is ready to be born, and induction of labor. So what happens when labor is spontaneous? The mother releases a hormone called oxytocin that makes the uterus contract. If the mother's labor is induced, she gets the synthetic form of oxytocin. The synthetic form of oxytocin works only on the physical level, gives the mother crazy strong contractions with short gaps between them, and her oxytocin stops being produced. When she releases oxytocin, the baby also gets oxytocin. And oxytocin has the effect of bonding, reducing pain, in improving appetite. Lots of advantages of oxytocin are there. And one thing about oxytocin and autistic children is that autistic children cannot process oxytocin in their bodies. That is one of the problems they have. And there is a study in Japan that shows a link between induced labor at 38 weeks and autism. So we should just not induce labor. I mean, if we just follow this one rule, we are well on our way to having a better experience in life, literally in life, because your life is tied to your child, right? So if a child needs special needs, then the mother has to turn her life around to cater to that child, right? So yes, so many of these slow learners, all of this is all connected with early induction of labor, I feel, to a large extent. Maybe they need to do more studies on it, but no one will do studies on it. Everybody likes to continue working the way they do. They have their protocols, hospitals give them protocols to follow, which they follow. And when the baby is born, you can't tell it's going to be autistic. Right? It's only 2 years later the mother realizes, oh my God, something seems not very right here. And there's another study linking vaccinations to MMR vaccinations to autism. So we just don't know what is happening at what stage influencing us. If we just do a simple thing and live with nature and live with the natural processes, I think a lot of our problems will be taken care of automatically.
Yeah, because why I'm asking is I have my first child. She's a girl. Now she's 2.5 years. And she was birthed during Corona time, 2021. And she's having genetic disorder, Williams syndrome. So that is like development delay. She's having speech delay and autistic features and like everything, like everything which is not, which should not happen. Everything has happened to her like that. And still like I was in a traumatic phase for 1 year, but now I'm like coming to the normal. And as you said, like initial years are very crucial to learn them, to teach them. So now I'm doing that, but still sometimes the mind works like what happened exactly. And because we don't have any history also of genetic disorder in family or around also, and we like just a thought come like what exactly has happened during the process of like conceiving or during everything, and why it happened or how it happened, it happened is like more troubling me at times rather than anything else. Like we are not understanding the reason itself.
How was your labor? Did it start
Yeah,
spontaneously?
yeah, it was a C-section, and I did not have a pain for a moment also. Like it took 9 months, 9 days we waited, and I was not having labor pain at all. And then I felt like it's like as we have a normal tendency, like 9 days, 9 months, 9 days I happen and nothing is like you're having no pain and anything. So then doctor suggested do C-section, and I was like, if you want to do C-section only anyway, so let's do, because we don't know inside what happens if we keep for a longer term. and
So
and it was just like
the estimated date of delivery, actually, yeah. So okay, waiting maybe would have been a good idea, but now what has happened, right? So now you should take it as your life's learning. maybe you were put in this situation to learn something, to become more compassionate, to maybe help other children and mothers in this kind of a situation. But yeah, I think letting labor begin spontaneously is the key to a lot of stuff.
But is there any rule like if 9 months, 9 days passes, still we can keep like sometimes like it happens 10 months also and still no labor pain?
Yes,
Then
yes.
we become panic and we don't understand what to do exactly. We should wait or we should proceed.
So your estimated date of delivery, you can deliver 2 weeks earlier than that. That's not a premature baby. If you deliver 2 weeks after that, it's not a post-mature baby. This is according to medical textbooks. So it's good for us as customers to know that, because today, even if you go to a lawyer or an architect or anybody, it's important you do little homework because that empowers you to take decisions. Because you're very vulnerable at that time, especially when you're pregnant, you're very vulnerable. You want to do the best for your baby. I'm sure, and nobody thinks the doctor is going to say anything that may not be for the best of the baby. You have so much faith and trust in your doctor and your care provider. But it's always good to, if you're going, whatever professional you're going to, these days, Googling is, you can Google and you can, Google is not always reliable actually, because say if I'm manufacturing anesthesia, right? The drug for anesthesia, then I will put it out there that labor is very painful, you must take an epidural. Okay. And now a lot of people used to go and see who is publishing this information. Is it a company? If it's a company making that drug, then you dismiss whatever you've read. The companies got wise to that. So they have floated NGOs so that it looks like, so you don't know what you're reading, where is it coming from? Sorry, I'm getting some questions here. How to not worry? Sorry. Can
There was a
someone?
question from
Yeah.
Surbhi also. I think Surbhi also has a raised hand.
Yes, Surbi.
Yeah. Ma'am, I'm a Garbh Sanskar counselor. I visited you also 2 months back. So my question is, these days, most of my mothers are having C-section, and the reason is the heartbeat is going down. And usually, as soon as the 8th month end, they go to the doctor for regular checkup, and they immediately get them admitted. They don't even give them time to think. So in that case, even if they are wise patient, they have listened to tapasya's talk, yours talk also. But what should be done as a wise mother, wherein they are saying ki, the heartbeat is going down, and if something happens, we are not responsible. Then what should we be doing?
Actually, that is the key, not responsible. They say, and we tremble and we cave in, right? Now, what are they responsible for? Even if they do a cesarean section, they make you sign so many forms devolving themselves of any responsibility so that you don't sue them tomorrow. If they do a cesarean, they know that nature is going to heal the wound, so they do the cesarean. They are not responsible for anything. Nature is bigger than them. And if someone tells you suddenly, see, one thing you said, when they go for a checkup, this happens. In labor, say if they've already got admitted to the hospital, one thing that causes fetal distress is the mother's lying on her back all the time. So sometimes when they put you on the fetal heart monitor, they make you lie on the back and they strap a device around your tummy to get the heartbeat of the baby. And you feel you're getting very good care because you've got a fantastic machine that is giving you feedback. Actually, that having to lie down for that machine is what causes fetal distress. So the thing is to not use too much of technology at birth. And if doctor says something, oh, this heartbeat and all, say, can I just this is too sudden for me. Can you give me some time to process it? Can I just go home, think about it, and come back? Don't get pushed. If someone suddenly says something, say, this is very sudden, I don't understand. Can you just give me some time? I need to process it. I need to think about it. And there's one key phrase you can say: I only want to do what's best for the well-being of the baby. Any hospital doing any work has to do for the well-being of the baby. I want to make sure this is really for the well-being of the baby, and babies can have fluctuation in heart rate. It's normal and it's natural. So the heart rate of the baby is between 120 to 160 beats per minute in labor. And the mother starts getting false contractions closer to birth. So during a contraction, the heartbeat will become fast and then become slow. And that's a very healthy sign that the baby is responding to stimuli. So you can just say, I don't want to rush into anything so fast. I'll just come back for another reading in an hour or so. And then you can even go and get a second opinion. And just say that, I've come to my mother's house, my doctor's on that side of town, my checkup is due. So I just thought I'll just check up, is everything okay? Because I can't trek to the other side of town now just for this. So always try and get some information before taking a decision.
Just to add, recently one of our mother was in the same situation, and she texted at midnight, and she got admitted because the doctor was not ready to leave her. And then she messaged at midnight to me, and then I responded that, okay, these are the things that is happening, and you go home, do jhadu pocha and do your squats and all the pre-labor things that we have done, and it is not required. Her amniotic fluid was around 8 that time, and that is okay, you just take all these drinks. Then she was a little strong lady. She trusted your words, Tapasya's words, and my training. And she said, no, I don't want a C-sec. I will be going back home. Then say, okay, we can induce labor. So they induced labor, and she delivered a child normally within 10 hours.
Yes, but she may have delivered a child normally with much less pain in 3 hours had it been spontaneous.
Yes, that is true.
But I think the biggest challenge women have these days is the hurry of the doctors to induce their labor at 38 weeks, which is really not right. Really not right.
Thank you.
Welcome. So if
Meghna has
the
a
question.
Yeah, I can read it. My son is born with C-section and he never had any milk. We tried almost 4 or 5 months, but he never had my milk. And I can see him as sensitive child, though other children around him are also C-section babies. This was not an issue with them. Is there any way I can heal him? He is normal in all his activities and was born on the due date.
So the due date is called the estimated date of delivery. This is for everyone's information, right? Estimated date of delivery is an estimated calculation. It's like if I say, what is the estimated height of a 20-year-old Indian girl? Someone will say 5'2", someone will say 5, someone will say 5'3". Nobody's wrong because there's a lot of variation. And anybody can be any height. That is an estimated calculation. And the estimated date of delivery is even called that because it is not a date of appointment. We make the mistake of considering it to be a date of appointment, which it is not. So first thing, I always tell my mothers that tell all your family you've had an ultrasound and your date has gone forward by 15 days. And when you go to the doctor, just say that I'm very relaxed, let the baby come when it will, because I understand this is an estimated calculation. So she should also know that this person knows, this person understands, I can't push her. She has, and you have rights as patients. So you need to exercise those rights in a very subtle, non-aggressive way, just to make them know that okay, I know a little bit, so don't take me for a ride. That's the message they'll get. When you talk to them with confidence and say that, you know, I understand, I've read that estimated date is just a date of average calculation. It's not a date of appointment. I'm ready to go over my estimated date at my own risk. If you say at my own risk, then they don't say anything because they frighten you on that at your own risk. You're waiting at your own risk. But to wait for a natural process, is it a risk? So a fruit ripens on a tree. It may ripen today, it may ripen tomorrow, it may ripen day after. In its own time, it doesn't mean it'll never ripen. I mean, if they don't induce your baby, you're not going to be pregnant for 12 months. The baby will come in a day or 2 or 3 days or 4 days or 1 week. It'll come on its own when it's ready. When it's ripe and ready, like when that fruit is ripe and ready, it leaves the tree. When the baby is ripe and ready, it leaves the womb. And we put a lot of stress uh, on people when they pass away happily, well, peacefully, I would say. We say what a lovely death this person had. And if someone is dying with a lot of not a very pleasant situation, we feel sad that suffered so much, right? The same is for birth. Why don't we realize that even in birth, the more gentle it is, the better it is, and it affects lifelong. I don't know if I answered your question.
Hina has a question, I think.
Yeah.
Hina.
Hi. So this was regarding one of my friends. Okay, she was given some due date and they had planned for a cesarean. So maybe if it was day after tomorrow, okay, and a day before that, she started feeling that the child's means the heart rate and everything, the bits have gone down. Okay, she couldn't feel the moments, and when she went to the hospital, they realized that it was a stillbirth. So what could be the reason? It was the emotional turmoil the child went to, or what? Because as we say that
we don't know about stillbirth. It happens suddenly. Sometimes it happens at full term. We really don't understand why it happens. But when it happens very suddenly, and there's no reason. I don't know why they happen. They just happen sometimes. I would say it's part of life. In life, things happen. This is one of the things that happen that is not very nice. But yes, it happens, and we don't know why it happens.
so maybe that's the reason so many people have off late started having a phobia and they just go on for C-section before the due date. Or
But your friends, was it your friends who? Your friend?
yeah, my friend.
She was at what week? You said 20 something.
No, 20. No, it was a full term. So she was on the verge of completing her 40. I don't know why a C-section was advised to her. But when I had gone to meet her, they said that the C-section was advised. Okay, maybe she was an elderly. So C-section was advised. So if it was on 28, she went on 26. They said, okay, on 28, we'll go for a C-section. She was on the verge of completing 40. On 27, she had a baby. It lost its heart and she couldn't feel the movements and they went to the hospital.
I'm reminded of one of my moms. She was, she was also elderly. And her sister was an obstetrician and was with her in labor. And her doctor was there. She got the best care. All the doctors were there, but suddenly they lost the heartbeat. No one could do anything about it. The sister was standing next to her. She's an obstetrician herself. Her doctor was right next to her. So there are some things that just happen. It reminds me that at AIIMS, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, there was this doctor who organized a huge international conference on cardiology. And when he was seeing off the delegates at the airport, he just collapsed and died. And he had the best international experts standing next to him. They couldn't do a thing. I'm sure they must have tried that, whatever resuscitation and whatever methods, but he was just gone in a moment and you couldn't do a thing. So there are things in life that happen, that they just happen. We don't know why they happen, but they just happen. And someone said, he took the strain too much of the conference. That's why he overworked himself. Someone said something. I don't know if he had even checked his heart health ever, although he was a cardiologist himself. So these things, they just happen, and we can't do a thing about them. We have to just accept them. And then that is where we go to another level and say, okay, what do I have to learn from this? And it's very important, if you lose a child, you must grieve for that child, give that child a name, and send that child on an onward journey, so that the next pregnancy, the womb doesn't have the imprints of this child that has gone.
I had one more question. So the effects of forceps and the vacuum delivery would be similar to a C-section. The child would again go through that much of trauma, or it would be a bit less? Because I have gone through that. I used to talk to my child in the womb and everything. Okay. And I had normal labor, but everything was going well. But I don't know why the doctor felt she induced me. I had told that I want a normal thing. But then when you go and meet a doctor, it's very difficult to stop at that moment. As someone said, they don't even give time. And she gave me medicine to increase my contractions, and I got an allergic reaction.
You got an allergic reaction, my goodness.
Yeah, and I was given Evil injection, and then I was given Dexa also to stop that. And post that, then too, I was okay, I will not go for a C-section. And then she waited, and I was not ready to push on because I had become very drowsy and all. And I was given epidural and post that, and it was a forceps. So I just wanted to know that this.
I would like to say one thing. Let us not personalize over here. We are looking at changing the larger picture. If we go into personal stories, then we can't move ahead. We have to think, how do we improve birth for humanity? On a macro level, not at a micro level.
Micro. No, so this was just for my, so I
would like to say one thing here, because somebody else said she has a cesarean born baby whose milestones are all right, but he's a little different, right? Someone had, sorry.
Yes, I had. Chetna.
1 second. I'll just, there is, I'm into Bach flower remedies, and there is one remedy that all cesarean born babies and cesarean delivered mothers should have for a month or 2 months. And it is a mixture of 2 medicines. Rescue remedy, I think a lot of people know about it. And Star of Bethlehem. This is for mothers and babies delivered by cesarean. If you're buying the Indian remedy, you take 8 drops of rescue and 4 drops of Star of Bethlehem. If you have the imported one, then you need half the number. Then you need 4 drops of rescue and you need 2 drops of Star of Bethlehem. You can put it in water, in juice, in anything, and drink it. And you need to have it 4 times a day. And you don't have to be on an empty stomach or anything. So the one who said she had a cesarean baby, she should give this to her cesarean baby.
But ma'am, what is the period like now? I have like 2.5 years has been done for the delivery. So now also I can take?
Yes, now also you can take. You can
Okay.
take at any time. You can even take when your child is 10 years old.
Okay, so I should also take and give to the baby also.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
the same number of drops as you have mentioned. To me also and to baby also.
Right.
Okay. Okay. And these are available anywhere, like online also, or?
Online and homeopathic pharmacies, well-stocked homeopathic shops, homeopathic medicine shops that have good stock, or online, both.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think 1mg, the app 1mg has them. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I think Nutanji, we can wrap it up here. There are some questions, but as you said, most of them are very much individualistic and personalized. So maybe we can take it up separately, but not here. So I think thank you very much for having this session. Thank you, everybody. It was really nice and very wonderful. One of the most wonderful sessions I've attended as a part of the open learning session. Thank you, Nutanji, for taking out time. And we hope that we'll have more sessions from you. Thank you.
Welcome. So someone said that what is the advantage of these remedies? Advantage is it reduces trauma. All our cells carry memory of trauma. Whatever trauma we've suffered, our cells carry that memory. So having these will reduce the memories, cellular memory. That's why you can have it at any age, because the trauma stays with you lifelong and you can address it at any age. And when you free yourself of the trauma, it's you live life more fully.
Yes.
If
Thank
you
you,
had
ma'am.
a natural birth, and if you are if you were traumatized by your birth, you can have it. Anyone can have it who's been traumatized. Even if you had an accident, you can have it. If your birth was traumatic, natural but traumatic, you can have it. The flower remedies work on a vibrational level. They are safe. They don't contraindicate any other medication you may be having.
Shall we end it up here?
What is, okay, so are we ready to wrap up?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, ma'am, just one last question actually. Just
Yeah.
want to ask, you have any do's or don'ts on conception or like healthy conception? Like when we think of having conception or child, can you just tell in short anything a piece of advice?
Preconception.
Yeah, preconception.
Yeah, you pray for a good soul with good sanskaras to come to you, with good health. And eat well, change your lifestyle, eat healthy, eat organic foods, breathe cleaner air, change your lifestyle, limit your TV and social media. Connect with nature, the 5 elements of nature. Walk on the grass or on the sand or wherever on the earth, and go under the sky, drink clean water. These are very basics, but we are made of five elements. And we go back to them afterwards. So if we nurture the 5 elements and we request them to come and welcome them to come and nurture our baby as well. And insist on your doctor that you want labor to begin spontaneously. And just be happy. It's nothing. If you're happy and your little thoda dhyan karo, puja karo, that will be a good thing.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Thank you, everybody, for your presence. Okay.